Okay, hey there everyone. I want to talk about a couple of statistics that came out during this week, which really tell us a lot about the state of our economy from the perspective of working people and working families. So the first statistic or report that I want to point your attention towards is this Brookings Institution report that came out regarding the state of American families working harder than ever. They conclude the typical two-parent American family today is working 26% longer than the same family in 1975. To quote from the report, at least one measure of well-being suggests that families may be struggling to fulfill the promise that each generation can do better than the last. Although median wages for two-parent families have increased 23% since 1975, the evidence suggests that this is not the result of higher wages. Rather, these families are just working more. In 2009, for instance, the typical two-parent family worked 26% longer than the typical family in 1975. And here you have a graphical representation of that, where the red line represents earnings, the blue line annual hours worked, and that's gone up from about 2,700 to 3,500, as you can see, and they both track closely together, which suggests that the reason we're making more now is because we're working longer hours, not because we are getting paid for our increased productivity. And over these years, by the way, productivity has gone way up. And another statistic that came out, so this cut in wages and income that we've been seeing over the years, this reduction in wages and income, and also this record level of profits that we're seeing, well, the both are related, as JP Morgan explains here. And let me quote directly, this is from investorvillage.com, and this is quoting JP Morgan. This is actually JP Morgan. They say, quote, as shown below, profit margins have reached levels not seen in decades. The challenge, which we have discussed many times before, what is driving these margins? One useful way to deconstruct profits is to measure them from peak to peak and analyze what changed. As shown in the figure, as shown in the first chart right here, bottom left, S&P 500 profit margins increased by 1.3%. There you see the 1.3% increase from 2000 to 2007. There are a lot of moving parts in the margin equation, but as shown in the second chart, reduction in wages and benefits explain the majority of the net improvement in margins. Emphasis theirs. This trend has continued. As we have shown several times over the last 2 years, U.S. labor compensation is now at a 50-year low relative to both company sales and U.S. GDP. And here we see on the right the increase in profits, in margins, S&P, and on the left here you see the decline, the reduction in wages and benefits as a percentage of revenue. And so anyways, here is the labor share of income as a percentage of all income. It's at a post-World War II low. In fact, the statistic has been kept since 1947, and we're at the lowest since the statistic was first kept. And another interesting chart that I found, this came out about a year ago, but this economist did something very interesting. If we would have the same income distribution today that we had in 1979, the bottom 4/5 would be richer. How much better off would they be off? The bottom fifth would be $6,900 richer. In other words, they would be making $24,600 today, as opposed to what they actually are making, which is $17,700. The second fifth, the middle fifth, the 4/5, so the bottom 8/10 of the population are all thousands of dollars worse. And in the case of the second fifth and the middle fifth, $10,000 or more worse than they, worse off today than they would have been if the income distribution today would have been the same as in 1979. But what's most telling is that those in the top fifth have gained $38,000, and the top 1%, so a sliver of that top fifth, the top 1% has gained $740,000 given our present distribution of income. In other words, back in 1979, they would only be making $578,000 given that distribution of income that we had there. But given today's income distribution, they're making $740,000 more. In other words, most of the income gains that we've seen from the expansion of the economy since 1979 have gone to that top 1%. And that's been shown various times and in various different ways. Here is, again, corporate profits as a share of the total workforce since 1947, record high. Corporate profits are just booming while wages and income and benefits are going down. And by the way, just focusing on those corporate profits, so here we have a chart of the corporate profits, and this is financial sector profits as a percentage of all corporate profits. From 1947 to 1990, it was basically within a band of 10 to 20%. A couple of times it went over 20%, but just a little bit. Today, it's at nearly 29%, and since 1990, it's been just way above the previous norm. We are really in a new normal when it comes to the financialization of the economy. Look up that concept. There has just been a misallocation of resources away from things that we really need, like renewable energies, like the infrastructure. We got a crumbling infrastructure in this country, etc., over to the financial sector. And if you look at this chart, look at it. It reached a peak of 45%. When was that? That was during the late 90s, during the tech bubble. Over here, it was also high. During the Clinton years, remember, that's when the deregulation push started. And of course, it was high during the housing bubble as well. And now it's getting high again today, even after, the housing crash. So that's the state of our economy. Corporate profits are way up, income and wages are way down, people are working longer hours, and a lot more of those profits are going to the banking sector instead of going to other needs of the economy. Okay, I'll stop right there. Take care.